This is the brand new Rivian R1s, and it's one of the most popular electric vehicles in the world. In fact, it actually just beat the Tesla Model X in sales. So in today's video, I'm going to try to answer every single question that you may have about it. So my last car before this was also an SUV, but it was a gas-based car. So this is actually my first electric vehicle, and the main difference is the regenerative braking. So unlike a gas car where you have to use the brake often to stop, in an electric car, when you take your foot off the accelerator, it slowly starts to come to a stop by itself. That definitely has a learning curve to it, but once you get used to it, it's really smooth and intuitive. And once you get out of the car, there's actually no power button, so you can just walk away and it will lock itself, or putting the key right here, and then that will lock the car. So a common complaint with last year's Rivian R1s was that the suspension felt really inconsistent, especially when accelerating between the front and the back. This year they fixed the suspension so it feels a lot more consistent. When you're going over bumps, it feels smoother. It honestly is an absolute pleasure to drive. Outside of that, the design looks really similar to previous years. It has the iconic headlights with the LED bar that lights up during charging to indicate your percentage, 11 cameras that help with both the self-driving capabilities on highways and the bird's eye view for when you're parking. I use that feature all of the time. And it also has a really spacious back row that has a mini infotainment center that you can use to control like the climate. If you're the front seat driver and you have kids in the back, you can also lock off that display, and if they try to interact with it, a little cute animation will come up. The infotainment center in the front is awesome. It's 15.6 inches, and similar to a Tesla, Rivian has really embraced touchscreen as the main form of interaction here. So there's not a lot of physical buttons. There's a couple on the steering wheel if you want to adjust volume or turn on the windshield wipers, but most of the control is actually on the main touchscreen. So climate control is on here, the cameras are on here, the navigation is on here, and Rivian does not use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. They've designed the entire infrastructure, which is mixed. On the one hand, it's so impressive to design something from the ground up, and a lot of it feels great. Then on the other hand, there are certain areas where I kind of long for more. I'll show you what I mean with the navigation. So this is the navigation app, and it's built off of both Google Maps data and then Rivian's own data, and it looks beautiful. And over here, you can search different addresses, charging, food, restrooms. I'm gonna put in the beach. So all this is amazing, and I also really like that it shows the arrival range. So it says we're gonna arrive with 303 miles, and then on this screen it shows a battery percentage. But I love how big the display is. It makes it really easy to quickly glance and see directions, which is a common complaint that people have with like the Tesla Model 3. It only has that one display in the center, which means that you constantly have to look over to your right versus having like a heads-up display and then the display to your right. Right now we're trying to use the Rivian navigation to go to the beach, and it has no idea where we are. It's really struggling here, and so this is the example of when phone navigation in Apple Maps is better, so we're having to resort to using our phone to navigate there. The Rivian is known as like the adventure car. I feel like a lot of the brand identity comes from that, and it's an aspirational lifestyle. So the early adopters were definitely adventurous people. I think now more mainstream people are also buying this car because it's great in so many other ways, but it is built for off-roading. So like for example, it is a feature where it will deflate the tires if you off-road, and then it can uncompress them when you go back to a normal driving situation. And there are multiple driving modes like the all-purpose mode, sports mode, off-road mode. And then, like many electric vehicles, it also has a front trunk, which really helps if you're taking a lot of stuff with you on an off-road adventure. With the third row up, you have 17.7 cubic feet of room. With the third row down, you have 46.7 cubic feet of room. So it definitely adds a lot of space when you don't have it up. And there's also that extra storage underneath. Also, worth noting that on the front trunk, there is a drainage system. So one of my best friends is a private chef, and he often does like 50-person dinners over an open fire, and he has ice and other things, and it's really nice to have a drainage system so you don't have to worry about the car getting damaged or getting a lot of liquid through it. Okay, let's talk about range and charging. I feel like range anxiety is still the main reason why people do not consider getting an electric car, or they feel afraid to get an electric car. And I think that a lot of the fear is genuinely legitimate. Like, I grew up playing AAU basketball, which meant that every single week we would travel to a different location, and it was like 2 to 3 hours away for a tournament. And I feel like on those drives, it would have been very inconvenient to have to stop often and for long periods of time to juice up. Now I live in New York City, so I honestly don't drive that much, but if I do drive, it's very local trips, like sub 1 hour trips, which means that I would have to charge up my car a lot less. It also depends on which car you get. The R1S Dual Standard comes with a range of 270 miles, and then the R1S Dual is 329 miles. And then on that, you can add an upgrade for $7,000, which boosts the range to 410 miles. I feel like depending on how much you drive, that is actually a worthwhile upgrade because it does add a lot of mileage. And also it's worth stating that the different driving modes affect the predicted mileage as well. So like when I go into sports mode, it decreases the amount of miles it says I can have before I would need to recharge. And currently I'm at 55% battery, so I'm going to go over to the maps and find a charging station. Rivian has their own adventure network, which has like fast chargers, and they're rolling out more of them. And they also use Electrify America and the Tesla charging network. Overall, they have 32,000 public chargers, and included in that is 16,000 Tesla superchargers, which are obviously going to be like the fastest consistent charging. Tesla's really like won so far in building out the charging network. So it's nice that with an adapter, Rivian can do that, but then it also has Electrify America and their own charging network. Okay, this one looks like it is 30 minutes away, and it says 404 available. So what I really like about this is it will show you how many chargers are available and what our arrival range will be when we get there. I'm going to hit go. It's 3:42 p.m. The car has 198 miles left of range, so we're gonna charge it up for 10 minutes and see how many miles we can add to that. And while we do it, I'm gonna tell you about Shopify. Shopify is a commerce platform that allows you to start, manage, and grow your business. So many creators use it to launch their businesses. It's actually incredibly exciting to me that a platform like this exists because it just enables the next generation of entrepreneurs with incredible AI features like Shopify Magic, which lets you take photos of your product and then erase the background, touch them up, make them look really pretty. They also have features for merchants in real life, like tap to pay, similar to what we just did here, and also so much data on the back end. There are so many creators launching businesses on Shopify. And also with Black Friday coming up, if you're going shopping, there's a really good chance that the sites that you're looking at to buy your favorite products will be powered by Shopify. If you're considering launching a business or you just want to try out Shopify, I actually have a link that they gave me. I'll put it on screen here and link it in the description below if you want to check it out. Shopify, thank you so much for supporting me and the channel and for sponsoring this video. All right, let's charge up the Rivian. So the charge port is right over here, and you can open it by just hitting this. It slides open like that, and then just plug this right in. That was a very satisfying click. And now if we go over here, it shows the elapsed time, energy added, and the cost. It says not charging, now it is charging. Nice little animation. And let's pop back in the car and see what it looks like from the car standpoint. We're charging at 12 miles per hour right now for the sports mode. Oh, whoa, okay. So one of the cool features of the Rivian lights is that it has this LED bar. So when you're charging it, it will actually show you the percentage charged. So this is like around 52% of the bar. That is so cool. One of my favorite things about the Rivian engineers is their attention to detail. Like I feel like they just really care about the product. And so while there are some issues like the navigation today has been atrocious, there are other areas where you're like, damn, they really cared and put their thought into it. And obviously they're users of the product. So I feel like if you're a Rivian owner, this is a cool feature that you will like. Thumbs up. On this screen, it's showing 1 mile advance of this screen. Then this one updates eventually, but right now it's saying 201 miles and this one's saying 200, which means that we're currently at 20 miles an hour of gain charge. And so if we were to continue at the speed, it would end in 13 hours, which is crazy. Also, it's worth noting that at a fast charger, you could go from like 10 to 80% in 30 to 40 minutes. And that's because the battery charges at a much faster rate when it's at a lower percentage. And the fast chargers do that to protect the battery over time. So when you get to like 70 or 80%, it would charge at a much slower rate than it does in the earlier percentage of charging. All right, about 19 minutes and 40 seconds in, 5.8 kilowatt hours around, which is a energy rate of 1.69 kilowatt hours from 3:43 p.m. to 4:03 p.m. This console is a wireless charger, but it also is constantly opening up the wallet app on our phones. Like we've tried it now with 2 different phones here, and both of them have the wallet app just continuously open. It's a little annoying. A little odd. A few years ago when you would buy an electric car, you'd be getting an electric car, but you'd also be getting a lot of compromises. Like if you're like, all right, I'm getting an amazing car, but there's not gonna be a lot of places to charge it. There's gonna be some production issues if it's a Tesla in terms of like quality control. That's gotten a lot better for Tesla. But now it feels like with the Rivian, you get an electric car and you don't get a lot of the compromises. The main one that you still get is obviously just time spent charging it. If you get a fast charger at home and you don't take long road trips, probably less of an issue. But if you don't have a fast charger at home, or you take significant road trips where you're driving hundreds of miles every week, you will definitely be spending more time at a charging station than you would if you had a gas car. And then there's like the other little quirks, like the fact that the wallet keeps opening up on my phone when it's on the wireless charging stand, the lack of a glove box, the fact that the navigation is not great and there's no CarPlay, so there's not really an easy solution to fixing that. Those are my main gripes with it. But when I think about that, it's actually not that many gripes. It's a really great car. I've had so much fun driving it, and I love that there's a new company that's entered the market and is able to kind of gain this diehard tech enthusiast following. Super exciting. I'm stoked to see where they go next. I also think that their CEO, RJ, would be awesome for our Talking Tech interview series, so let me know if you want to see that. And if you want to check out another video on tech in the real world, you can click right here. Thank you so much for watching this one. I appreciate you, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.